So it's turned out that during the Singapore Grand Prix weekend, Pirelli have spoken to George Russell about some of his comments over their tyres so far this season, and specifically his comments over the tyres during the Azerbaijan Grand Prix weekend, the weekend prior. So let's have a look what's happened here. So Pirelli's F1 boss sought out George Russell for a chat over the Singapore Grand Prix weekend. A week ago, the Mercedes driver slammed the inconsistency of the tyres in Formula 1 today, claiming even Pirelli, quote, don't understand them, end quote, and denouncing the product as, quote, not good enough, end quote. Mario Isola, the boss of Pirelli Formula 1, said the following: I always talk to the drivers because it's useful to understand better. And that's quoted by France's Auto Hebdo paper. Obviously, in the heat of the moment after the Baku race, George had some things to say about the race and we talked together. But looking at the data from all the cars in Baku, we didn't find anything strange in terms of tyre performance. So it sounds like a you problem, George. No, I'm joking. I mean, the thing is, right, there's a lot of factors that come into these tyres. They're very sensitive and they're very difficult to switch on, as it were. There's a lot of different factors when it comes to that. And Baku is a track as well where it's got a history of being difficult on the tyres. It's very, very tough to predict how they're going to perform there. I mean, and Pirelli as well have come into some criticism during that event, you know, in the not too distant past. I mean, 2021, Max Verstappen had that blowout, and I think Lance Stroll had a tyre blowout as well during that same weekend. So at a very high speed, it could have been a very nasty accident. Thankfully, both of them were all right. But a lot of questions were asked of Pirelli in that kind of space and that kind of time as well. So what about this? Do I think there's anything to it? Well, let's just have a look here, because this all kind of elaborates a little bit more on what actually might have been happening. There are a lot of elements that contribute to the performance of the tyres. The setup of the car, how gently you use the tyre in the early laps, the evolution of the track. In a championship where every second counts in the final result, the stress is obviously very high and a small difference in performance can play a role. But we should look specifically at what happened to Mercedes, even if we are used to doing these analyses that concern all the time. So basically, when it comes to tyres, and I've spoken with Mario a good few times. I think I've spoken to him like 3-4 times. I've spoken to him in person as well. Honestly, lovely guy, really, really nice. Love him to bits. You know, he even volunteers as an ambulance driver over in Italy in his spare time. You know, the guy's a legend. Simple as that. But taking all those personal things out of it, really, you know, at the end of the day, there's 20 cars on track, there's 10 different teams, 20 different drivers, they've all got different preferences, and Pirelli essentially have 3 tyres. I mean, there are 5 dry compound tyres in total, but there's 3 tyres that they bring to most race weekends. There's 3 tyres that they bring to every different race weekend. It does vary from track to track, and that does help, but you're talking about really fine margins here. And, you know, Russell actually did complain extensively about the car during qualifying as well at Singapore, saying that something wasn't right with the tyres, and he ended up qualifying P4. Sir Lewis Hamilton actually said something similar as well during the race in Singapore, saying that his car wasn't right, that it wasn't working properly. He seemed to be struggling on the brakes. Again, might have something to do with tyres, might not. Maybe the Pirelli tyres don't agree with Mercedes as much. Maybe the Mercedes car as a whole is just not working as the drivers expect it to be. And of course, George Russell as well doesn't have the best relationship with Pirelli in general at the moment, because obviously the leading reason why he was disqualified from his win in Belgium was because his tyres worn down too much, because he did an unexpected 1 stop compared to the usual 2 stop that pretty much every other driver on the grid did. And I actually spoke to Mario about that, and he said that yes, the tyres could have been the main reason behind that, or at least a contributing factor behind his car being underweight and therefore illegal. So yeah, interesting really. It's good that Pirelli are wanting to speak to the drivers rather than just say, no, they're talking rubbish. No, let's actually listen to them and what they have to say. But it does sound like it's a him problem rather than actually a tyre problem with this one. But yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments below, guys. Do you like Pirelli as the sole tyre supplier in Formula 1? I want to hear your thoughts. And of course, keep it tuned here to the F1Chronicle.com to see much more content on Formula 1 just like this.